Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of CRATV, where we talk about politics, policy, and politicians, all from a conservative perspective right here in the great state of California. So please take a moment, like and share the program, and let your friends know where the conversation is taking place. And also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and in both cases, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified every time we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also want to remind you, the last month of the California State Legislature is coming up. That means there are still bills that are out there that we need to make sure don't become law. So follow the link to the Take Action page within on our website, and it'll give you a list of bills that you can speak to your legislators on. And we also have a way in which you can send emails directly to them, to the folks who are going to be voting on this legislation. All you got to do is follow the link in the description to this video. Also, I want to encourage you to join. There's a join link in the description of this video. We are California's oldest and fastest growing conservative grassroots organization, but we can only be effective if you folks are involved. So help us to elect like-minded conservatives to everything from dog catcher all the way up to President of the United States. So just follow the join link in the description of this video. As I like to say, you are either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Become a member today. Finally, in case you haven't heard, there's a recall election coming up. And, well, obviously we're going to be endorsing a candidate in this recall election. Or at least we're going to be talking about endorsing a candidate in this recall election. On August 14th, we have a recall, an endorsing convention coming up on August 14th. It's going to be taking place in Valencia, California. All you got to do is follow the link in the description to this video, and if you want to register to attend and be a part of the process. But also remember, you need to be a member if you want to have a say in who we wind up endorsing. So please make sure you follow the link in the description to this link in the description to this video. And on that note, we actually have with us today to talk about the recall. We have Tom Del Beccaro, the chairman of RescueCalifornia.org. Tom, welcome to the program.
Greg, always great to be on. Great to be back with CRA. Fan of CRA, as you know. I wouldn't be where I am today without the help of CRA and getting elected state party chairman. And from there, that level gave me the opportunity where last year I did over 500 in radio, TV shows around the world, but it also lets me help get me to my current position, which is chairman of RescueCalifornia.org, which is the chief group for raising funds for the recall of Gavin Newsom.
Well, now, once again, you've been a solid voice for conservatism here in California for quite a while. So it's no surprise that you are heading this organization. But do me a favor and do us a favor and let the viewers know a little bit about how you got involved in the recall effort.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't a supporter of the early recall efforts, meaning before this particular one, because look, we lost an election. We usually do, don't we, at statewide in California, and that comes with consequences, including them taking their policy where they want to go. But I am a lawyer. I believe in the rule of law. That makes me a constitutionalist. And it also means that when Gavin Newsom started his efforts of rewriting California laws on a regular basis, when COVID came along, suspending them, that was far too much for me, along with his very bad policies that weren't just hurting people, they were driving them out of business. And in my view, the Florida model was a better way of handling COVID than California. And so about a year ago, I was asked to support the effort. I did say yes. I think I became the first statewide figure or national figure to do that, if you grant me that status. And then I started carevival.com, which is a PAC that has donated over 160,000 to the recall effort. And as time wore on, we supplemented that with something called, with my current chairmanship, you see there on the screen, RescueCalifornia.org, and we have raised and spent over 3.7 million in aid of the recall effort, and we continue to do so and will all the way through election day.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. So now, first, let's talk specifically just about the recall in general. Obviously, poll numbers seem to be heading the wrong direction for Gavin Newsom. No matter what he seems to do, he just can't help but step in it. What do you think we as conservatives, we as Republicans need to be doing in order to further drive those numbers the direction they need to go? Obviously, well, not obviously, but the numbers right now show that 47% of voters, if it were held today, would vote to recall him, and 50% would not. But we also know that those numbers, once again, are heading the wrong direction. And even still, right now, those numbers are in the margin of error. So what do we need to do to continue to drive those numbers?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And when we started this out, there was few who believed. They said it could never happen. Then a couple 100,000 signatures later, they turned it into a long shot. Then when we passed 1 million, they started to say it's still not going to happen. And anyway, it's just being pushed by white supremacists. And since I'm a Sicilian, that may be the first half Sicilian, first white supremacist in history.
And that also
I'm
makes
gathering
me a black white supremacist.
Yes, I'm gathering you have changed as well. Maybe it's your glasses that gives you that status. I don't know. But, the name calling when you're getting close to it, right? What does that tell you? And then we got to about 1.3 and they said, okay, they'll get the signatures, but they'll still never recall them. And here he is now after the last month spending over $10 million on ads. And the numbers continue to go against him in part because of all the problems. Look, you and I know, your listeners know that big government policies fail, and they're all failing at the same time for him, whether it's homelessness, crime, the highest gas prices in the nation, the drought restrictions, which are unnecessary if he had built the 2 reservoirs that the people voted for and or saved for a non-rainy day. Those type of things, the fire danger, all of these things are coming home to roost. Now, COVID masks and the like are coming back. And he really has no good story to tell. So he strikes out at people saying, if you didn't get a vaccination, you're a drunk driver. And now the latest is, of course, what I call French Laundry Part 2, where his child's breaking the rules. And he was sent 2 emails essentially saying these rules, you can go maskless. So, he does shoot himself in the foot. So the rule of politics, of course, is don't get in the way of a gun if someone's shooting themselves in the foot. But part 2, and this is super important, with ballots about to fall in 3 weeks on August 15th, and then the election on the September 14th, you and I both know the registration advantage in the state is 48 Republican, and roughly 27 declined to state or no party preference and Republican. We need to reach those no party preference people and even disaffected Democrats by crime and homelessness and talk to them and make sure they get out to vote. Reach them on an issue they care about, which is easier to think. You don't have to sit there and be ideological. Just say, say something about homelessness, say something about rising crime. If you're in Los Angeles, you look at Venice, California, which is a very liberal city. And the council and others have allowed the homelessness situation to proliferate like you cannot believe. And those Democrats are incredibly frustrated and they wanted Eric Garcetti gone, so they sent him to India. And they want Gavin Newsom gone. And so just reach out to people and say, look, we can do better. And we have an amazing field of candidates from which to choose.
Well, let us not forget. I mean, he is the original mayor of San Francisco that brought us sanctuary city and turned it into as the president would call it, a S-hole. When you look at where they're actually doing that now in the streets of San Francisco. He went from there to being lieutenant governor, where his only real job was to wake up in the morning and read the newspaper and find out if the governor was still alive, to what he's doing right now as governor of California, which is basically trying to be the dictator of the state of California. I mean, twice already he's been ruled against. The courts have ruled against him when it came to churches and his edicts on churches. And now they've ruled against him in terms of his edict on private schools and the COVID closures. I mean, time and time again. So the courts are basically saying, you're overstepping. And I think a lot of the people, a lot of business owners that I know of, that are left leaning, that are Democrat business owners, are now saying, look, you've basically, in some cases, you've either put them out of business, almost put them out of business, or severely handicapped them. And all for what?
Yeah, exactly. Results no better than an open Florida, if not worse than an open Florida. Yeah, he is vulnerable on a variety of issues. At rescuecalifornia.org, and we could use your donations to help bring this home. The polling showed that rising crime, homelessness, and cost of living, highest gas prices in the country, as you well know, these issues are really plaguing him. And as the fire season goes along, the drought restrictions rise, those will come in to play as well. You know, I just want to say for your viewers, you might be seeing this in the background. That, of course, is Thomas Jefferson right there and Patrick Henry. On the other side is Washington and Grant.
So, all right,
and those are there all the time, by the way. They're just not props for the show.
I believe that.
And I do that on national TV too, just to send a message where I'm coming from.
Well, all right. So let's get into some specifics. Now, I know as the chairman of RescueCalifornia.org, I know that you don't endorse, you can't endorse, but you know a lot about the candidates. So you know who are the contenders, and we don't need to get into who the pretenders are. Who would you see as the real contenders? And then who are some of the folks who you know enough about CRA to know the kind of the profile of the candidates that we're interested in? Which of the candidates do you see kind of fit that profile that CRA individual voters should actually be taking a look at?
So let me first say that at Rescue California, we are dedicated to yes, the number one question, because if you don't get yes on number one, number two is irrelevant. And for those who maybe don't know the rule or just are watching, two questions on the ballot. Number one, my ode to the class: should he stay or should he go? Should Gavin Newsom be recalled? And the second question is, if he is, who from the list below should replace him? And that replacement happens in 7 to 10 days. And really importantly, Gavin Newsom's not in that second question. And the winner just needs to have the most votes, which means they could win. You know, the last recall, I can't remember who won that, and I don't want to remember, got 48% of the vote. I think it's going to be in the mid-20s, the victor this time. So from our perspective, what's super important about the list of candidates is that it's geographically and actually ideological covers the whole state. And what I mean by geographically is there's several what we would consider large candidates from San Diego, one from Riverside, of course, LA. I'll get back to LA, but there's also the Northern California contingent as well, 3 prominent candidates from there. That's so important geographically, because we need to draw from the whole state and make sure there's enough incentive for all of them to knit together a yes vote. Now, as we get into some specific names, what's critical of this in one respect is Larry Elder coming out of LA. Elder's a national figure, but elections statewide are won and lost in LA and have been for a long time. No better example was when I was helping Bill Simon in his gubernatorial race, and he lost the race statewide by roughly the same margin he lost the race in Los Angeles. And that is important to, some people don't realize that Los Angeles is the same size as 42 states. It's massive. So the fact that there's a candidate there with a distinct story to draw from that region is super important. Conservatives need to knit together as well. And you have conservatives. I mean, Larry Elder is a conservative. Kevin Kiley is a conservative. Ted Gaines is a conservative. John Cox has said many conservative things as well. He hasn't been in office, so it's not tested in the same manner. So from the conservative point of view, you geographically have the state covered as well. and there's a good deal of familiarity. If you remember, there was 135 candidates the last time around, which made it more difficult. This time there's less, the state's geographically covered. And, look, Caitlyn Jenner's going to bring votes that otherwise wouldn't come and vote. And that means yes votes are being brought to the table, and that's a good thing.
Interestingly enough, this was something that I was actually going to mention. I mean, obviously, there's some folks there are folks who are going to have some challenges with some issues with Caitlyn Jenner, but if you specifically just listen to what Caitlyn Jenner says, it sounds pretty conservative.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is that Jenner's going to bring votes, protest votes, votes with people concerned with the issue that he stands for, right? That Jenner stands for. And those translate into yes votes. So Jenner's position in the race helps the yes vote on number one. And again, if we don't get to yes, we don't get anywhere at all.
Exactly. I hear you. So before we go, I just want to make sure to encourage you one more time. Let the folks know, one, how they can get involved in Rescue. Most importantly, how they can get involved in Rescue California. But number two, how they can follow you and the work that you're doing in general as a conservative leader in our state.
Well, right now, my only concern is rescuecalifornia.org. Now, listen. We are organizing a massive volunteer effort throughout this state at rescuecalifornia.org. If you sign up there and volunteer, then what you get by coming to us is you get to make phone calls from your home. We have the whole program laid out. You get scripts, you get phone lists, and this is essential. We know that turnout is everything. So if you want to help our effort, we're the group in this state pushing this. We're using I-360. So go to rescuecalifornia.org and volunteer. If you want to throw us $25, $50, or $500,000, that's great too. But this is all hands on deck at this point, Craig, and this is within our reach. Newsom's below 50%. And the first thing to understand about a politician who's below 50% is that more than 50% of the people are expressing doubt and a decision against them. So this is right here. And if we don't take this, we could lose this California for generations to come. So let's get this done. Let's recall him, upset the apple cart. Craig, one last thing I'd love to say is we have quickly found out that this isn't just about Newsom. It's not just about California, or certainly rescuecalifornia.org. We're getting calls from all over the country, donations from around the country. If we can upset this apple cart and show that you can do government accountability even in California, it will reverberate around the country. So thanks so much for having me on.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Del Beccaro, rescuecalifornia.org. Tom, thank you for coming on the program.
All right, boss. I hope to see you soon.
All right, folks. Well, hey, once again, this is, I just want to let you know, a reminder, there's a recall election going on. And the California Republican Assembly is going to be making a decision regarding who we as an organization are going to be endorsing. Now, that event is going to be taking place on August 14th. It's going to be at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Valencia. It's going to be in Valencia, California. You'll find the details at cragop.org, or just follow the link in the description of this video, and you'll be able to find out how you can be there and be a part of that particular event. But folks, once again, I want to encourage you guys, please be involved and be engaged. CRA is an activist organization. We're not just here because, we like politics. We're here because we recognize how important it is that we are involved and engaged in the issues impacting our society. And the only way that happens, folks, the only way we have that impact is with your support. So once again, we want to encourage you, be a part, be involved, and be engaged. This is Craig DeLuz on behalf of the California Republican Assembly saying thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing the program. And thank you for telling your friends about the California Republican Assembly. We are the conscience of the Republican Party. We'll talk to you again real soon.